group.
Hello, first tonight, a warning from the police in Luton. An estate where a drug dealer was gunned down is at tipping point.
Richard Long, who was 23, was murdered at the beginning of September on the Lucy Farm estate. But witnesses to the shooting have been hard to find. The police say help is needed to drive out a dangerous criminal minority.
7 weeks since Richard Long was shot dead. 2 have been charged, but police are struggling.
There's clearly an area where somebody else could have got caught literally in the crossfire of this incident.
They fear local people don't have the courage to deliver convictions.
It's a choice now that people need to make. Assist the police with this inquiry. There have been 2 arrests and 2 people charged, but we need people still to come forward with key and crucial pieces of evidence.
10 days after the shooting, 14 people were arrested in drug raids, the result of months of planning. But local people aren't convinced.
They've not been here for years and years and years to help. We've got junkies that are selling on the streets, that are picking up drugs in front of our children, up at our local communities, hounding old people for money. There's stabbings, there's shootings. It's just, they've not been here, because if they were here, this wouldn't be happening. The only thing that you'll get is a PCSO that will come and knock at your door, write a form, a bit of paper, and then it'll be buried.
Any problems?
Yes.
Go on. We've got maybe 20 youths around the area that will cause antisocial behaviour, minor criminal damage, and then I'd say a handful of about 3, 4, 5 that, you know, will do a little bit worse, but that makes the whole estate look bad.
There's some very positive results have taken place. 14 people were arrested for drugs warrants, firearms have been recovered, and in fact there's been a 16% reduction in crime year on year this year.
But even today, deals were being done in broad daylight, drugs found literally on the street.
Well, I've just spoken to the grandmother of a 16-year-old who witnessed the shooting. She did talk to police, but then cried for 24 hours afterwards and was in such a state she had to go to the doctor and be put on medication. Apparently her mother says there's no way she'll be giving a witness statement.
But these are the people police need to help them help Lucy Farm. Nikki Jenkins, BBC Look East.
And if you can help the police, you can call the incident room on 01707 355 666. Or you can call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
A pensioner said today he's prepared to spend the next 20 years fighting to stop his clifftop home from falling into the sea. Peter Boggis has already spent nearly £500,000. Natural England says the erosion at Eastern Bavance in Suffolk should take its course, and today Mr Boggis lost an important judgment in the Court of Appeal.
We lost.
Peter Boggis says he may have lost a battle, but he hasn't yet lost the war.
And I'm not worried. I know where I'm going. I intend to carry on fighting.
Since 2002, he's been trying to protect houses at Eastern Bavance near Southwold from falling into the sea. Until he was stopped in 2005, he dumped 250,000 tonnes of building waste at the foot of the cliffs. He didn't get planning permission, but he paid for it himself, £450,000.
I've always thought that if you had a decent shovel and the will, men can move a mountain. The effect of me putting a sea defence in since 2002 has saved over 8 acres of land and 4 properties. This was done without any cost to the nation, and it is something I'm proud of.
Natural England made the area a site of special scientific interest 3 years ago and wants the cliffs which contain fossils to erode naturally for scientific reasons. This was challenged successfully by Peter Boggis in the High Court on the grounds it would have threatened a wildlife area. Now the appeal court has quashed that ruling. His options now take it to our Supreme Court or the European Court. All the time, the cliffs are eroding.
Instead of being 50,000 tonnes there now, there should have been 250,000 tonnes, supplying sediment for further along the coast without the loss of our cliffs and property.
The Court of Appeal said the only lawful course now open to Peter Boggis was to apply for planning permission for his defences. But he has other ideas for the future.
I reckon I've got another 20 years to live, and I should quite possibly fill a lot, by the looks of things, fill a lot of that time in the court as well. But that doesn't worry me at all. To keep the grey matter moving in your old age is something that you need to do.
Well, earlier I spoke to Sean Thomas, the Regional Director for Natural England. I put it to him that this was just a technical victory over the need for planning permission. They hadn't yet won the argument over the sea defences.
I think we need to be very clear at the outset what the court case was actually about. It definitely was not about whether Peter could defend his home. What it was about was whether we were right to, and did we do it properly, in identifying the area as one of the best geological sites in the country. We're very pleased that the court found in our favour. It is indeed one of the best geological sites, and we were right to notify it as we have done. The issue of Peter's coastal defences, how we can go about putting them in place, is one that we now need to focus upon.
But Mr Boggis says that if he does have to try and get planning permission, you will argue forcibly that he shouldn't have it.
It's very nice for Peter to anticipate what we may say. We've been working with Peter over the last 9 months to see if we can find a scheme that would be acceptable to the geological interests and would also meet the needs of people who live down the coast, because obviously their beaches benefit from the erosion that goes on in front of Peter's home. So we're working very closely with them and Waveney District Council and the Environment Agency to see if we can find a scheme. If, of course, we still felt it was damaging to the interest, it would be the role of the local authority to balance all the different needs, including those of the local community and the environment and the people down the coast, to see whether the scheme would be acceptable or not. And that's the route we really do urge Peter to go down.
Is it right that you should use taxpayers' money to fight taxpayers when all they're trying to do is protect their land?
As Natural England, a statutory environmental body, we're there to identify the best wildlife sites in the country, and indeed that's just what we do. There was obviously a challenge there by Peter to whether or not we had undertaken our job properly, and we're pleased that the court found in our favour.
Mr Thomas, thank you very much.
The European Commission says it has no intention of blocking the expected takeover of Vauxhall. It means the final hurdle has been cleared for the takeover by the Canadian parts company Magna.
Last night we reported how thousands of NHS staff in this region are planning to refuse the jab for swine flu. And experts worried that if doctors and nurses said no, the rest of us could follow suit. We asked for your views. Joel Mapp has been going through your calls and emails.
I've come here to the Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital because we've been contacted by one woman whose husband is a patient here. She'd like staff to wear badges identifying whether or not they've had the vaccination. This would give patients the chance to say if they wanted to be treated by staff who hadn't had the jab, she says. Jennifer also got in touch with us. She's shocked to hear members of the medical profession not having the jab. She thinks it's selfish to put others at risk just because they don't want any potential complications. And the Conservative health spokesman Andrew Lansley, also the South Cambridgeshire MP, has also waded into the debate.
It's true to say that the government, I'm afraid, has a vaccine approval process, a recommendation process that isn't as transparent and doesn't expose to independent scrutiny vaccines in the way that is done for other medicines, and I think that should happen. But I don't think there is any reason to believe that the licensing process for this swine flu vaccine is other than robust, and that therefore it should be regarded as safe and effective for people to use.
We've also been contacted by a number of NHS workers who wanted to remain anonymous. One is a nurse in North Norfolk. She says she wants the vaccine, but she's been told she'll have to come to Norwich to get it. She doesn't think, therefore, any staff will bother with it. NHS Norfolk, though, has since told us that details of the swine flu vaccination programme still are yet to be finalised. And another nurse got in touch to say she won't be having the vaccine and doesn't know anyone else who will be. I don't believe what they're saying about testing, she says. I don't think there's enough evidence. Thank you for all your comments, and I should say that the health authorities are still advising all staff to have the vaccination.
Well, still to come tonight, Tom